Under a Tropical Sun by Pasky Pascual. I'm going to start reading from page 11. The Spaniards had converted many Filipinos to Catholicism, but priests were in short supply. To keep up with the demand for priests, Father Keys traveled frequently to the lowlands, where Spain's feudal system lingered. I need a good man to help me get through some of the jungle trails in the lowlands, Father Keys told Yago. May I take Pulog with me? Yago carefully considered the request. It was 1937. He had long ago overcome his suspicion of white people. Next year, his son would be 17, an age when most men in the village had already chosen their women and started their families. Yago wanted nothing more than for Pulog to provide him with grandchildren. But he recognized in Pulog's eyes the same restlessness that shone from the eyes of the deer his tribe could not domesticate. Yes, he said to the priest, if Pulog would like to travel with you, he may go. Thereafter, Pulog was a constant companion to the Jesuit. When they traveled to the rice and sugarcane plantations between the Cordillera Mountains in Manila, Pulog observed how peasants came in great numbers to supplicate for a better life and to unburden their sorrows before the gentle priest. The lowlanders were mostly sharecroppers who supplied the land-owning aristocrats, the hacenderos, with bushels of produce, even as their own children went hungry. Indefatigable in the constant heat, Father Keys and Pulog walked miles or traveled by bus and horse-drawn carts to meet with the hacenderos on the sharecroppers' behalf. In October, Pulog accompanied Father Keys to a plantation outside Tarlac City, almost halfway to Manila. The monsoon rains had not come that year. The parched earth could barely support the quota of rice the landowners demanded from their tenants. Many of the farm laborers subsisted on the field mice and snakes they caught in the dry paddies. Making their rounds to visit the sick on the plantation, Father Keys and the young Ifugao crammed into a peasant's grass shack. Pulog was surprised to see tears fill Father Keys' eyes. Pulog had never before seen a grown man cry. Father Keys' arms were folded across his chest as he helplessly watched the peasant's whimpering child suckle at his emaciated mother's breast. The woman looked wanly at Father Keys. I have nothing left, Father. I'm completely dry. The Jesuit nodded in sympathy. He too was bereft. He had nothing to give his family. Then he bent down and started untying his shoelaces. No, Father Keys, protested Pulog. You need your shoes. Nonsense, Pulog, the priest said cheerfully. I have a pair of sandals back at the barrio. Handing his shoes to the mother, he said, this is good leather. Make sure you get a fair price for them. Early the next morning, the sojourners boarded a bus that would take them back to their barrio in the Cordillera Mountains. Father Keys, his bare feet resting on the back edge of the empty seat in front of him, fell immediately to sleep. Watching the provincial towns of the lowlands roll past, Pulog was kept awake by the persisting murmuring of an internal voice. The voice spoke no distinct words, but the young man recognized its disturbing tone. He heard its faintest whisper a year before, shortly after he attended, unbeknownst to his father, his very first Catholic Mass. He still remembered the epistolary passage Father Keys read from his worn, leather-bound Bible. When I was a child, I spoke as a child. I understood as a child. I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. A low snort made Pulog look beside him. His head bent backwards, Father Keys was snoring, sucking in the morning air, his gaping mouth framed by his salt and pepper whiskers. Looking past the Jesuit, Pulog watched intermittent scenes flash through the bus window, scenes of lowland farmers preparing to face the day. A peasant riding bareback on his carabao, a shirtless child balancing a clay jug of water on his head, an old woman smoking a cigar, sweeping her front stoop. Pulog shifted his attention back to Father Keys and glanced at the priest's bare, muddied feet. Thinking about the older man's spontaneous act of generosity the previous day, Pulak understood there was an interior world in the Jesuit, a world where choices were simple and unconditional, motivated purely by a love for people. While Pulak could not articulate the entreaties from his own inner voice, he sensed he was being prompted to make his own set of choices. A young schoolgirl wearing a white shirt and green skirt dashed across the road in front of the bus, which lurched to an abrupt stop. Pulak reached out to prevent Father Keys from falling off his seat. Jolted awake, the priest blinked thrice, reminding Pulak of the owl living above his family's home in the mountains. Father Keys, the young man said urgently. Startled, the Jesuit asked, What is it? Are you all right, Pulak? Yes, I'm all right, came the reply. Could you teach me how to pray?